Hey folks, sorry this is going to be a shaky video because I'm holding this with my hand and not a tripod. This week, all things marketing. This is a really content-dense chapter, and what I mean by that is there is a lot of stuff, and it is long and it is technical, quite a bit of it. You wouldn't think of marketing as technical, but it really can be. And so what I would like for you to do this week is watch the lecture and take really, really good notes. I want you to do that every week, but this week really pay attention. Marketing philosophy, segmentation variables, and segmentation strategy especially. Those segmentation variables, super important tools that help you, or super important concepts that help you drill down your target market so that you can focus your marketing communications in a way that you're not just throwing stuff out into the universe to see what sticks. Also, just to have some fun with you guys, I would like to know if you guys are really actually watching these videos. So here's what we're going to do this week. At the end of your discussion board post, if you want 3 extra points, post the weird food that you love, or the food you love that people think is really weird. I'll go first. Peanut butter pizza. Here it is. Just a really thin slice of peanut butter on your pizza. Super duper good. Not for everyone, but peanut butter pizza is my weird food. What's yours? 3 extra credit points in the discussion board for that. Super good.
Today's topic is marketing. To most of us, we probably think of ads, free stuff, commercials, samples, that kind of thing when we think about marketing. And yes, those are all components of marketing. However, we generally refer to these items as tactics, but taken individually or even together, they don't fully comprise the concept of marketing and what marketing is. Marketing is really about all of the activities that bring buyers and sellers together. I like to say that marketing is about communicating the benefits of your product or service to the customer. And in order to do this, the marketer needs to understand who customers are, what they need, and how to satisfy those needs. What you need to understand about marketing, what any small business owner needs to understand about marketing, is that marketing is a process that you are constantly revising and refining. There's a lot of small business owners out there that think, oh, well, I'll put up a web page, or I'll run an ad, I'll maybe even make a commercial or a YouTube video. And that is the sum total of their marketing. They think that they do that, and then they're done, they sit back, they wait for the customer, and it's not how it happens. Really, marketing starts with research, and that's being able to answer the question, who is your customer? To know who they are, what they look like, what their behaviors happen to be. And with that, you can understand the market that your business is targeting and that your business is operating in. With that information, you plan your marketing strategy, you develop tactics, and then you implement that strategy using your creative skills and tracking the implementation through marketing analytics, things like Google AdWords, understanding the impact of your strategy. You measure that impact, you report on how you're doing, and that reporting may just be self-reporting, but really that's about understanding how well your strategy is working. And then when you see what's working and what's not working, you optimize what works well and you minimize what does not work well, and so you're constantly refining. And as you do that, you're again learning more about your customer and learning more about your market. And thus, the process begins again. So if there's one thing that you really need to take and understand about marketing, is that it is a process. It's not a one-shot, let's run an ad and see what happens. So in marketing, we have all of these devices that help you remember the components of marketing. We've got the C's of marketing, we've got the P's of marketing, and the C's of marketing are really about understanding consumer content, your capabilities, communication, competition, the importance of cross-functional communication, and community contact. Consumer content is really about what you know about your customers and the decisions that you make about your product or service in relation to that product. And the result of that is the development of a coherent marketing philosophy that fits your product or service. There are 4 formal marketing philosophies, which I'll get to in a minute, but first I want to explain a little bit more about what consumer content is and how it works. And I'm going to do that using Chipotle as kind of my example. Most of you know Chipotle, the burrito company. Chipotle offers a really good lesson in how the business needs to really understand who their customer is and then make decisions based on that knowledge. So Chipotle opened in 1993 in Chicago, and Chicago's, well, now they're known for Mexican food, but at the time, the burrito was a pretty foreign product to a lot of Chicagoans. And so what Chipotle did was they stood out on the street giving away free burritos. And it was a pretty successful strategy. And 2 years later, they were able to open a second and a third location. As they grew, they began to read their customers and understand that there was a trend moving toward healthier food. And so they transitioned to serving naturally raised pork, no hormones and things like that. Same thing with the chicken 2 years later. They transitioned their frying oil to a zero trans fat oil, again, looking at the health consciousness of their target customer. Looking at the health consciousness of their customer. Moving on, they transitioned then to naturally raised beef. They moved on to organic beans. And then eventually they went to 100% vegetarian beans, additional vegetarian menu items that were vegetarian friendly, like tofu, tempeh, things like that. And so Chipotle really is an example of a company that understands who their customer is, what they want, and then changing their product offerings to fit that customer. You can see this also in a local business where, let's say you have a dance studio and you see that there's a trend, the dance moms trend, all of a sudden interests parents in putting their children in contemporary dance. And so you add a contemporary dance class. That's another example of understanding consumer content. So moving on to marketing philosophies, and philosophies really have changed over time. We've moved really from selling a product to selling a relationship. And really it's important to understand that while marketing has evolved, you still see companies that sell with a production orientation and a production-oriented philosophy, even though the vast majority of companies now sell with a relationship marketing philosophy. So really it looks like philosophies were phased out, but that's really not the case. We have companies today which offer examples of each of these philosophies in their of each of these orientations in their marketing philosophy. So let's start with a production-oriented philosophy. With a production-oriented philosophy, the focus is really on the creation of the product. You are maximizing efficiencies or uniqueness in the production process. And it's really about making a product at a low cost and then producing a high volume so that you are harnessing the uniqueness of what it is that you're creating. An example of this would be the Model T, anything created on an assembly line where the product is pushed through in a highly efficient manner is an example of a production-oriented philosophy. Moving on to a product-oriented philosophy, that's really about focusing on the quality of the product, offering really unique attributes so that your product really is kind of a one of a kind. And what you see here is an OtterBox, which is a phone case. I have one on my phone right now, as a matter of fact. And the unique attribute of the OtterBox is that it is highly durable, more so than just about any other phone case on the market. And so if you really want to protect your phone, you can see, based on the schematic here, that the OtterBox really is the best built product for that. Another product is that's become popular is the Hydro Flask, which is a canteen that keeps your beverages hot or cold for an unbelievable number of hours. And the uniqueness of that product is the quality of the flask and the materials that are used to make it that make it so your product stays hot or cold, your choice, for an extended period of time. Next is sales-oriented marketing. And a sales-oriented marketing philosophy really favors product sales over production and consumer preferences. So a sales philosophy is really going to be about how you promote the product through sales. A couple of examples that I have here for you is Tupperware, which was initially sold at home parties, and there's a lot of products now that are sold via home parties. There's Jamberry nails, there's LuLaRoe leggings, and really those products are about pushing the sales and having very specific sales strategies, goals for resellers, business models that focus on sales more so than product quality in many ways. Another example is Herbalife, which is a vitamin company, and Herbalife employs very specific sales strategies and techniques. And really with Herbalife, their focus is on sales above product design or consumer preference. Next is a consumer-oriented or marketing-oriented philosophy. And a consumer-oriented philosophy is really about understanding that whole consumer content piece. Understanding what it is that your customer wants and then creating products or services that focus on what that customer wants. And really this is the philosophy that is most consistent with long-term success. Again, because it employs that cyclical approach to marketing, or it employs that process. Relationship marketing is really the 2.0 version of consumer-oriented marketing. And relationship marketing is really about understanding that it is two-way communication, that understanding the concept of two-way communication between the customer and the business. And so there is a feedback loop. The customer has more ability to engage with the business, and really the business then is charged with not only understanding consumer content and the fact that it's a moving target, but also understanding that each customer is different and each customer may want something different from your company, and each customer wants to engage at a different rate. And so again, this philosophy is really the most consistent with long-term success. Moving on to our second C, capabilities. And capabilities is really about your ability to meet customer needs. Your ability to understand what it is the customer wants in terms of your technical know-how, building the product that they want and or need. Capacity, the extent to which you have the ability to produce, whether that is the amount of units that you can produce or the correct number of people to produce or provide service at the level that you want to be able to provide service at. Capital is about your funding. Businesses are capitalized when we invest money in them. And then your management. the knowledge and skill that your management has in order to run the company in a way that is going to make it successful. Moving on, communication. Communication relates to cues sent by the organization to form the attitudes and beliefs about the organization, the product, or the service. That includes design, that includes the level of quality that you ascribe to the product, that includes price, packaging, advantages, etc. You need to have a consistent message. So for example, if you are competing as the lowest priced product in the marketplace, then you really can't say that you have the highest quality, because we don't associate low cost with high quality. We associate high cost with high quality and low cost with low quality. Competition. Competition, you need to understand how your competitors operate, and you need to determine how best to respond to competition in the marketplace. Sometimes competition is a good thing. When you want to go clothes shopping, for example, you may want to go someplace where there's two competitors next to one another, because you want to be able to go into a second store if you don't find what you're looking for in the first store. And so competition can be very symbiotic in nature, or competition can be very adversarial. If I want to go have a cup of coffee, I'm going to go to the closest place. It's probably going to be Starbucks, but if it's something else, the fact that there's another competitor close by really doesn't necessarily matter. Because it's a zero-sum game. I'm either going to have this coffee or that coffee. I'm not going to go into both coffee shops. Cross-functional contact really is about understanding that marketing doesn't exist by itself. You can have the best marketing strategy in the world, but if you don't have the people to carry it out, if you don't have the financing to support it, then your marketing is really going to be nothing. And so marketing really has to constantly communicate with the other internal departments to make sure that the marketing message is known across the organization. The people in accounting should be able to articulate your marketing message just as well as the people in the marketing and sales department. Community contact is really about understanding the environment in which the business operates. And this is something that has become so important and so easy to do in an age where everything is really at the touch of our phone. It's easy for businesses to talk to their customers through social media. It's easy for customers to find and order through web pages and on their phones. And so it's really important to understand that maintaining that contact with the community in which you operate, whether that be your community of customers, your local civic community, and the community of professional organizations or other businesses, is highly important. And as an entrepreneur, you need to decide what level of community contact you want to have, and then how you're going to manage that. Moving on to marketing segmentation. Marketing segmentation is the process of dividing or not dividing the market into groups of similar needs. And when we talk about market, we're talking about a group of potential customers who have both purchasing power, so they have the power to buy your product or service, and unsatisfied needs. They can articulate what it is that they want, and you need to be able to satisfy that want. There are 4 types of segmentation that we're going to talk about. The first is geographic segmentation, and this is when you divide your market by geographical area. That can be nation, that can be the state that you live in, a region, a province, a district, a county, a city, or even a neighborhood. On my neighborhood app, which is a kind of a Facebook for people in your neighborhood, they segment into zones of Oceanside. So I am in the Seaside neighborhood. And most of the communication that in my app is within that Seaside district. Demographic segmentation is when you segment people by age, gender, family, income, education, religion, culture. This is generally, when you hear the term demographics, it's really about how you can describe a group of people: college educated versus not college educated, their level of income, their age, male, female, gender, whatever their gender happens to be. That's an example. Those are examples of demographic segmentation. Psychographic segmentation is when you segment by lifestyle, social class, personality. So people who have an active lifestyle versus people who might be foodies, quote unquote. And then behavioral segmentation is segmentation that's based on usage, benefits sought, loyalty, things like that. So when I go to the store and I buy shampoo, I'm seeking a specific benefit. I like shampoos that are volumizing shampoos so that my hair feels full and lush. And so that's a behavioral segmentation. Or, when you think about toothpaste, there's whitening toothpaste, there's cavity fighting toothpaste, there's toothpaste that's flavored for kids. Those are all examples of behavioral segmentation. So some additional examples when we're looking at products and segmenting products. So when you look at something like Coca-Cola Light or Diet Coke, that's really segmenting toward a specific benefit, which is, I want a low-calorie beverage soda because maybe I'm wanting to be healthy, or I'm watching my weight. Axe body spray is body spray for men, so that is a demographic segmentation. Louis Vuitton handbags are a very expensive handbag product, and so that's really about lifestyle. It's also demographic in some sense because there's only a certain income level that can typically afford those, and so all examples of segmentation for you. So what do we do with segmentation variables? Well, we create segmentation strategies. And there are 4 that I want you to know for this course. The first is an unsegmented strategy, and this is what we commonly refer to as mass marketing. And basically, an unsegmented strategy is a strategy where you define the total market as the target market. So I'm going to market my Diet Coke to anybody that might drink a beverage. That would be an example of an unsegmented strategy. And so when I'm looking at my marketing tactics, if I'm not differentiating who my market is and I'm saying everyone is my market, then a commercial might be very effective because that reaches a broad spectrum of people. A Super Bowl commercial might be really effective because there's a lot of people watching the Super Bowl. A multi-segment strategy is a strategy that recognizes different preferences of individual market segments and develops a unique strategy for each segment. So I might be marketing my Diet Coke to health-conscious people. That might be one segment. I might also be marketing toward people who like the flavor of Diet Coke, so just people who happen to have that taste preference. And I might be marketing toward women, for example, because women tend to want to watch their weight more than men, and so maybe I think that, okay, I'm going to market toward women. So I've identified 3 segments there. A single segment strategy, and with that, going back to multi-segment, so with that multi-segment strategy, I might have a different mix for each of those. For my health-conscious people, I might be advertising in certain health-conscious magazines. For my people that like the taste of it, I might be just advertising through a commercial on regular TV. And for my female audience, I might be marketing through websites that are typically frequented by women, for example, maybe People magazine, who knows. A single segment strategy is a strategy that recognizes the existence of separate segments, but only focuses on the most profitable segment. So for my Diet Coke example, let's say that I think that my female audience is going to be my most profitable segment. So I understand that I could target with my health conscious people, my people that like the taste, but I'm just going to target on women because I think that I will get the most bang for my buck there. And then a focus strategy is a strategy where cost and marketing strategies are achieved within narrow market segments. So I'm focusing on a particular market. So for example, that Louis Vuitton bag, a very expensive, high-end product, I'm basically going to just market to people who I perceive as being wealthy. So that is a focus strategy. Moving along, the 4 Ps of the marketing mix. So you'll hear in marketing people talk about the 4 Ps. The 4 Ps are product, price, place, and promotion, and I'm going to go over each of these. And really what these are about decisions that you make related to your product. And the right mix of decisions is what gets at your target market. So examples of product-based decisions might be your branding, the way that your product looks, the functionality, what it does, styling, quality, safety, the features, what it does, packaging, repairs and support, whether or not you offer a warranty, how long that warranty is, what you cover, accessories and services that might be related to your product, and also product design. Moving on to pricing decisions. Pricing decisions include things like pricing strategy. Are you going to be the low cost product or service? Are you going to be high cost? Are you going to be somewhere in the middle? And what are you going to offer 2 for 1, buy one, get one free, whatever that happens to be? Are you going to go by a suggested retail price? Are you going to offer volume discounts, buy 10, get 10% off? Are you going to offer discounts for cash, seasonal pricing? Are you going to charge more in summer versus winter? Are you going to bundle your product with some other product that is complementary? And are you going to have price flexibility? And notice that these decisions that you make, you are not making decisions about each of these bullet points. You're picking and choosing what works best for your product. Placement decisions. How is the product going to get from you to the customer? You need to make decisions about how much of the market you want to cover. Do you want to seem like you're very exclusive and release only a few items at a time, or do you want to flood the market? Who's going to sell your product? How is your product going to get to your consumers? Are you going to sell through specific companies like Target or Walmart or both? How are you going to manage your inventory? Are you going to have a warehouse? Are you going to be just-in-time manufacturing? How will customers place orders? How are you going to get it to them? So those are all placement-based decisions. Promotional decisions are about your promotional strategy. What tactics are you going to use? Are you going to advertise, use personal selling, sales promotions, public relations and publicity, and the timing of your promotions? So to wrap up, I just want to say a few kind of concluding comments about marketing and where we've come from and where we are, and then wrap up with some concluding comments about what to focus on as a small business owner. Marketing fundamentals are marketing fundamentals. They really haven't changed from the 1940s to the 2000s. One major change, however, is that communication now is 2-way versus 1-way. And that's really about that relationship marketing. And what it is that the technology has made it accessible and efficient for customers to be heard and for companies to respond back to those customers. And so this communication shift has its pluses and its minuses. The pros include less guessing about customer needs. There's lower risk and more cost-efficient ways to launch new products. You have more research behind you now, and you can create a highly customized product, service, and marketing strategy for each of your targeted segments. However, this comes with information overload at times, and so there's a lot of information that you need to be able to filter through, so you need to figure out how to do that in an efficient manner. There are more outlets that you have to be involved in, and really there's a higher set of expectations from customers. Focusing on marketing in small business, really you need to understand that small business marketing really focuses on being able to identify your target market, knowing who is your customer, determining what the potential of that customer is, so understanding how much potential sales you can make from them, and then understanding how to persuade them to buy through effective communication channels that allow you to pull the right triggers to get them to patronize your business. And that's about all for now. Next, we'll be talking about digital marketing.